The courtroom buzzed with quiet tension. The American flag stood firm beside the judge's bench as the plaintiff, Klaus Weber, an aging yet sharp-featured German engineer, adjusted his tie under the stern gaze of the jury. His eyes occasionally flicked across the room toward Tobi Oladele, calm, dark-skinned, dressed in a deep navy suit, and unshaken. Tobi's presence commanded respect, not because of arrogance, but because of a deep, tested resilience. Beside him sat his legal counsel, while journalists scribbled furiously from the gallery. The plaintiff's attorney rose. "Mr. Weber," she began, voice crisp, "please tell the court once more who truly designed the core algorithm that powers the torque calibration system in TOS Dynamics' groundbreaking engine series." Weber leaned in, hands folded like a confessional priest. "That design came from Dynatech's research files. It was during Tobi Oladele's internship. He was under our umbrella, our mentorship. What he took, he didn't create, he inherited." The court murmured. The judge tapped his gavel once. Silence returned. Tobi's lawyer rose slowly, a lean black woman in a charcoal suit, with a presence that cut through noise like a scalpel. "Mr. Weber," she said, voice steady, "are you familiar with Tobi Oladele's work before joining Dynatech?" Weber hesitated. He was enthusiastic. Self-taught, I believe, but nothing formal. The defense attorney slid a document onto the evidence screen. Diagrams, code snippets, time-stamped designs. These were submitted to the Technical University of Munich 1 year before he ever met you. Independent research on low-emission combustion engines for Africa's low-grade fuel systems. Weber swallowed. "Mr. Weber," she said, stepping closer, "didn't you first meet Tobi as a guest speaker at a university exhibition in Berlin?" He nodded. "And didn't you personally offer him the internship at Dynatech because of what you called, and I quote, an unusually gifted mind?" Another pause. "Yes." The lawyer let the word hang in the air, then began to pace slowly. "Let me tell the court who Tobi Oladele really is." And just like that, the sterile walls of the courtroom faded, replaced by red soil, rustling leaves, and the quiet ache of survival. It was 2012, several years after her husband's death. Adetutu Oladele still carried the weight of an entire family tree on her back. 7 children. No formal education, just grit and an unshakable faith. Her eldest, Tobi Oladele, was now 18. Her heartbeat, her miracle, her greatest challenge. He was supposed to be at the University of Ilorin, 90 minutes away, but he came home that weekend to fix the solar panel for Mama and refill her asthma medication. He hadn't forgotten what survival had cost them. His father, a traditional royal family servant, had died when Tobi was just 12, leaving behind an inheritance of broken tools and unspoken dreams. That was the year the boy became a man. And in Iran, becoming a man early was not a choice. It was a sentence. On the day Tobi was born, Friday, September 9th, 1994, the midwife had whispered in awe, "This one came with lungs of fire and thunder." But hours later, those lungs nearly gave up. He didn't cry like the others, just shallow, gasping breaths. Mama Adetutu would never forget the panic, the fear, the prayer. And now here he was, fixing a broken fan for his younger sister, while mumbling equations under his breath. At the University of Ilorin, where he gained admission to study mechanical engineering, he became friends with 2 exceptional young men. Ayula Johnson, a calm, academically focused genius who studied with monk-like discipline. Sulaiman Boluwatife, tech-savvy, worldly, already dabbling in online ventures and the latest digital trends. Together, the three formed a bond that transcended classrooms. They challenged each other, sharpened each other, and shared dreams of a better life. At the University of Ilorin, Tobi was known for always coughing, always calculating, and always carrying two things: a notepad full of engine sketches and a flask of ginger moringa tea. His lungs still hated him, but his mind had found peace in machines. One rainy evening, as he walked back to his hostel, he heard a loud bang from the roadside. A car, a worn-out Toyota Corolla, had stalled right in the middle of a flooded street. Horns blared, drivers yelled. Everyone walked past, except Tobi. The driver, a man in his late 50s, stood helpless in the rain. He popped the bonnet and stared like it was written in Chinese. Something about it made Tobi stop. "Sir, may I?" he asked gently. The man nodded. Tobi leaned in. The engine was overheating. Water was spilling from the radiator hose. He didn't know much, but he knew enough from watching YouTube videos in cyber cafes, drawing blueprints, and listening to his uncle, who once ran a mechanic shop before he died. He wrapped the leak with nylon and wire from a nearby kiosk. 10 minutes later, the car roared back to life. The man stared at him like he was a magician. "You study engineering?" he asked. "Yes, sir, mechanical." "I have a friend, real mechanic, workshop near Tanke Junction. I'll tell him you're coming." The next weekend, Tobi showed up at the dusty corner garage. The mechanic, an old sharp-eyed man known as Baba Whale, laughed when he saw Tobi's slim figure and pressed khaki trousers. "Engineer Abi, come and hold the spanner." What started as curiosity became a calling. Tobi spent every Saturday there, sweating, learning, breaking things and fixing them again. Baba Whale, impressed by his questions and speed, gave him real work: starter motors, engine heads, brake systems. Tobi wasn't just reading theory, he was living it. His classmates mocked him. Suleiman poked him. Mechanical engineer turned mechanic? He poked. But Tobi didn't care, because every bolt he tightened, every engine he revived, it made breathing easier. It made life make sense. It was into Unilorin that a life-changing opportunity presented itself. Tobi's dad, Tobi Oladele, had loyally served as one of the domestic aides to the Olomu of Omu-Aran. Though he never advanced educationally, he often told Tobiloba, "My child, I didn't climb that ladder, but you must. Education is your way out." When a scholarship exam, funded by the federal government and channeled through political efforts, was announced, Tobi's name was nominated by kinsmen at the Omu-Aran Palace, a silent tribute to his father's past loyalty. The sun had barely risen over Ilorin, but the bus park was already alive with honking buses and shouting conductors. In a quiet corner, Tobi sat with his mother, Adatutu, who had come from Omu-Aran to support her Tobiloba. His lips were pale, his hands were cold, every breath sounded like a broken bellows. "You can't go like this," Adatutu pleaded, gripping his arm. "Your chest has been rattling all night. You need rest." Tobi looked ahead, eyes fixed on nothing. The government scholarship exam was that morning, his one shot at escaping the grip of poverty and sickness. He thought of his father's words, the sacrifices, the hunger, the herbs. "If I fall, let it be after the last question," he said quietly, rising to his feet. Adatutu choked back a sob as she handed him a bottle of herbs, tied in faded Ankara cloth. "Oluwa, go with you, Tobiloba." The exam center was packed. hundreds of students. Nervous chatter filled the air. Tobi walked slowly to his seat, every step heavy. Sweat soaked through his shirt before the paper even began. The invigilator shouted, "Begin!" Tobi picked up his pen. The first question blurred. His fingers trembled. His chest tightened. His lungs hissed, fighting for air. He closed his eyes, whispered, "Help me, Baba," and forced himself to read. One question, two, then 10. Halfway through, he felt it. That stabbing pain again. His heart raced. The room spun. Someone 2 rows away noticed him shaking. "Oga, you okay?" Tobi didn't answer. He bit his lip and kept writing. With each answer, he felt himself slipping into heat, into pain, into dizziness. But he pushed. Time felt warped. The exam hall faded into fog. But he didn't stop. When the final bell rang, his pen dropped from his hand. He had finished. Barely able to walk, he staggered outside. A man helped him to a bench. He reached for his bottle and poured the bitter herb into his mouth and let the bitterness burn down his throat. Tobi didn't remember how he got home, only that days later, someone ran to his hostel with the news. Tobi Oladele, top 5 beneficiaries, scholarship to Germany. When he called his mother to share the news, Adatutu collapsed, not from shock, but from gratitude. The boy, who could barely breathe, was flying to a new world. He was offered a fully funded scholarship to study mechanical engineering in Germany. The entire Ilorin town buzzed with pride. His school friends thank you for saving my Tobiloba. He has to abandon his schedule at the University of Ilorin and start anew in Germany. But deep inside, she knew Germany would not be easy. Still, she packed his bags with the powdered form of the herbs and hope, and sent her son into a world far beyond the dusty roads of Kwara. This was Tobi Inspired, the scholar from the workshop. Part 2 of the Tobi Inspired series. The journey of a boy who turned struggle into strategy. If Tobi's story stirred something in you, drop a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to be the millionaire yourself, where real stories power real transformation. In Part 3, everything changes. Betrayal, breakthroughs, and the fight to protect a dream no one believed in. Click now to watch Part 3 and rise with us.